and I'm here with a video about my time working at a State Farm agency and some tips on how you can save on car insurance. So during the first week of my third year, I decided that I wanted to attend a career fair because I did not want to go back to the dining hall I was working at during my first and second year of college. I wanted to expand my knowledge, expand my job experience, and I was even open to opportunities off campus. So I'm walking down the career fair and I see the State Farm tent that they had there. And so I approached the agent that was representing her agency and we got to talking. I mentioned that I was part of an off-campus organization where one of the advisors was also a State Farm agent. So when I asked if she knew him, of course she did, because he's kind of a prominent agent within State Farm in the Orange County region. So she decided that she would call him to see if he would recommend me, and then she invited me in for an interview. So during my second interview, she let me know that because she was a new agency and she basically was owning her business for the very first time, she thought that it would be a good idea to have me on a trial period. And so I would be an intern for about a month. She would pay me a stipend, and then figuring out after the month period whether or not it would be a good idea for me to stay on her team and find out more ways that I can excel within her office. So during that 1 month trial period, there was another employee there who was also a UCI student. So he basically taught me things like how to deal with the customers or how to use the internal software and just general information that I needed to succeed within the trial period. So after the trial period was over, the agent spoke with me and she decided that she would have me on her team more permanently as the customer service specialist in the office. So I basically helped customers, whether it was over the phone or walk-in, regarding their policies. A lot of them did have questions about why their premium or their policy payment went up. Maybe they had questions about their claims. And so I had a knack for speaking to people and learning how to calm them down. And so basically between October and December of 2015, I was working on mostly just customer service. And so when you work in insurance, there are two types of insurance licenses that you can get. You can get the property and casualty license or the life and health license. So property and casualty is for the car and homeowner type insurances, and then life and health insurance policies. So during January of 2016, I decided that I wanted to get my property and casualty license, and I did that during my winter break. So I got that license, and between January to March, I was starting to sell some of the policies and make some commission on top of that. But as I started getting more into the sales side of insurance, I decided that I don't want to sell policies anymore. I did not want to sell insurance in general anymore. So I decided I was going to leave State Farm. But other than the sales part of it, I really enjoyed my time there. I learned so much about customer service, so much about administration also, because like I mentioned, since the agency was newer, I was the customer service specialist, but I also acted as the administrative assistant, even a personal assistant to an extent to the agent. So I learned a lot about administration and customer service during my short period of time there. So I found it more beneficial to talk more about ways you can save on car insurance, something a bit more relatable rather than just talking about my experience at State Farm. So that's why I kept that a bit shorter. But now on to the good part. So car insurance policies have a lot of aspects to them, but the three most popular, the three most important aspects of a car insurance policy is your liability, your comprehensive insurance, and your collision insurance. So I'll go more depth into those three, but there are also a lot more aspects that you can add on to your policy. So the first aspect is liability. It is the type of insurance that everyone needs to have no matter what kind of car you have, because if not, the DMV will go after you because it's unlawful to drive around without insurance, right? So liability is basically what you can pay, what your insurance can pay in the case of an accident to another person. So if you get in an accident, your liability, you are liable for paying that amount of damage to the other person. So there are three numbers within your liability and limits. There's the bodily injury per person, the bodily injury per vehicle, and then property damage. So there's a lot of numbers that you can decide. You can go even up to 1 million per person and like 2 or 3 million per vehicle. But there's also state minimums. So for example, in California, the state minimum is $15,000 per person, $30,000 per vehicle, and then $5,000 for property damage. So the way that I like to think about accidents in terms of car insurance is, whose fault was it? So if it was someone else's fault, then their liability is going to pay you. But let's say it's my fault, then that's when the collision insurance comes in. So both collision and comprehensive insurance are additional, are add-ons, but they are very important if you do want to be a full covered car. If you're about to lease a car or finance a car, then you definitely need the three: the liability, comprehensive, and collision. So I'll start with collision. Collision insurance is what's going to pay your damages to your own car. So if it was your fault that you got in the accident, then you are responsible for fixing your car. So whether you're going to pay out of pocket at a body shop, or if it's too much money, then you're going to pay your deductible so that State Farm or whatever insurance company is going to fix your car. So to put this information into more relevant examples, let's take my personal situation. So personally, I did get in an accident in December 2018, and it was with a 2016 Mercedes, and I was driving a 2006 Toyota. So when we had the accident, even though he hit me, after the investigation, State Farm concluded that I was 90% at fault. So what happened? Basically, my insurance, my liability paid for his damages. And then I had to go ahead and pay for my own damages using my collision insurance. And so since my deductible was $2,000, I had to take that as a hit. But instead of paying $2,000 so that it can get fixed, since my car was older and really it was only valued in terms of the current market only at $5,000, what they did is they took the $5,000 that they were initially going to give me, subtracted the deductible of $2,000, and gave me $3,000 back to go ahead and purchase a new vehicle. So basically, me personally, I used that as a down payment for a new vehicle. So now on to comprehensive insurance. Comprehensive insurance is important, but not as important as collision. Most people would be okay with just having liability and collision, but comprehensive is good also in the case of, let's say your car was totaled by a natural disaster or someone broke into it and you need to cover the damages for that, but you don't have it yourself. So the amount that you pay for your car insurance is also going to vary depending on a lot of other factors. So let's say you live in a city where it's very prone to accidents, then you might want to increase your liability limits, but it will cost you because you want more insurance coverage, so they're going to charge you more for it. The price that you pay for your collision insurance is going to vary depending on how much you're willing to take responsibility for the accident. So like I said, my deductible was $2,000 because I was willing to pay that in the case that I got in an accident, which I did. But there's also deductibles like 1,000 and 500. But if you go to those lower numbers, they will charge you more because they think that you're okay with getting into an accident, or you're okay with being in a dangerous situation. Another factor that can go toward your premium or the amount that you're paying for your car insurance is your age. If you're between 16 and 24, you're more at risk in getting into accidents, so they're going to charge you more. If you haven't been driving for 3 years or more, then you don't qualify for the California Good Driver discount. So there's a lot of ways that they're going to try to knock up your price because they need to make more money. But as long as you have, like I mentioned, your liability, collision, and comprehensive insurance, you are fully covered, and that is all you need to be very safe on the road. But like I mentioned, there are other aspects of a car insurance policy that you can add on, such as an uninsured or underinsured policy. In the case that someone who hit you doesn't have liability insurance, then you at least are covered for that, and you're not using your deductible. It's more like the underinsurance policy is taking over for that. There's also the emergency services aspect of the policy, which is anytime you have an emergency out on the road, like a flat tire, or you just need to be towed somewhere, the emergency services aspect is very helpful. And I did not know that, at least in State Farm, it was only like $4 for the 6-month premium. So they only added $4 so that I can get help whenever I needed it. And with my 2006 Toyota, I needed it a lot because my battery died a lot. My tires were very old and they kept popping for some reason. So I really appreciated that part of my policy. Now I don't have it because the emergency services are included with my lease on my new car, but it was very helpful when all I had was my little Toyota and I had no way to call for emergency help. There's also an aspect of rental cars. So in the case that you're maybe visiting a different state and you need a rental car, your insurance policy covers it. Or if you got in an accident and you really need a means to drive around but you don't have your car, then your rental car policy covers it. And lastly, which this is really cool, I think, is they also have insurance policies for Uber and Lyft drivers to add on to your current car policy. So you're only paying a few extra dollars within your 6 months, and it brings up your liability way up higher because they understand that you're using your car to help other people go around, and they don't want to charge you too much for providing that service. So hopefully my experience and these car insurance tips are able to help you in any way. If you have any questions regarding State Farm or the insurance industry, even the licensing process, let me know, and I will see you in the next video.